to order at 3 p.m. for Monday, May 11th. Jody?
Good afternoon. Please note council meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with Section 20 Sub 2 of the Access to Information Act and Section 4 Sub C of the Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to atip@highriver.ca. That is ATIPP@highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Adoption of today's agenda. It's going to be an amended agenda with Chris Pross, CAO Prosser, away on personal reasons today. We are going to remove the in-camera sessions 7.1 and 7.2 on today's agenda. So if I can get a motion from Councillor Barton that Council adopt the agenda for the regular Council meeting May 11th as amended to include the removal of the in-camera sessions 7.1 and 7.2.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of last meeting minutes. Ask for a motion from Councillor Brookwell that Council adopt the April 27th, 2026 regular Council meeting minutes as presented.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. This time, item number 4, public comments. If there's anybody that wishes to speak on today's agenda items, you're welcome to do so at this time. See none. Thank you. Moving into the business, item number 5. First one, Municipal Policing Committee bylaw. We've got Austin and Greg and Jason as backup, I got today. If that's how it works, you tell me.
First time. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. In 2024, Council adopted Bylaw 4626-2024 to include minor changes that were identified to clarify areas and update others with additional details. Further, at the last regular meeting of Council on April 27th, 2026, Council rescinded the 4626-2024 Board and Committee Bylaw to adopt the Council Committee Bylaw and Statutory Bodies Bylaw. That shift was made to address differences between Council-created committees and the provincially governed and legislated requirements of boards and committees. With the recent changes to legislation regarding policing, administration is proposing the Municipal Policing Committee Bylaw to establish the legislated committee. As the former bylaw 4626-2024 board and committee that contemplated the Protective Services Advisory Committee was already rescinded. No adjustments are required at this time to terminate the Protective Services Advisory Committee. In accordance with Section 4 Sub 2 of the Police Governance Regulation, the Municipal Policing Committee shall perform the following duties: act as a liaison between Council, the RCMP detachment, and the citizens of the Town of High River to foster responsible community actions towards the creation of a safe, secure community. Number 2, oversee the agreement between the Town and the Government of Canada for the services of the RCMP, represent the interests and concerns of the public and the Council to the officer in charge, develop a yearly plan of priorities and strategies for municipal policing in consultation with the officer in charge. Develop a community safety plan in conjunction with the local RCMP detachment and chief elected official, including a plan for collaboration between community and community agencies, and providing the community safety plan annually or on request to the minister. And also assist in the selection of the officer in charge and report annually or on request to the minister on the implementation of and updates to the programs and services to achieve the priorities of the RCMP. Enhanced reliability screening clearance is also required to be on the committee, which may delay appointment to the committee. If the bylaw is adopted, administration will begin recruiting for the Municipal Policing Committee. Administration recommends passing of bylaw 4657-2026 being the Municipal Policing Committee bylaw as presented. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Austin. Questions from council? Pretty self-explanatory. Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Nothing specific to what you brought forward, Austin, but to all three of you gentlemen sitting there today. Maybe a little inflection on how these have worked in the past for us. I'm not saying that I'm here to say this isn't a good thing to do and bring the public into involvement being on the committee, but anything maybe out of the history of doing this that I don't know, needed to be captured in this, or I assume it's here, we're not missing anything, but just the general consensus from, you know, the three gentlemen that are responsible for this in our community, that this adds to the fabric of safety and security and helping you guys do your job, that it's overall a good thing to have this committee as part of our fabric.
Well, you want me to answer that? Or
I think as long as the committee, I think as long as the committee serves the purpose that's intended for, bringing public safety issues to us, then we can forward them to the council. There certainly is value to that. We have an ability, it's a public forum. Anyone can attend the meeting and can bring forth concerns. Certainly in my career, I've had opportunity through similar type committees to address public safety issues that we may have not been aware of because public's not reporting it. If they come to a meeting, it gets divulged to us and we can implement a plan. I certainly was more of a fan probably, and this is just my bias, towards a Protective Services Advisory Committee type format in which we have a multifaceted approach to dealing with issues, because police, bylaw, fire, we're all kind of interchangeable to an extent, but the legislation is what it is. So it is a policing committee, as we had before we had the Protective Services Advisory Committee. So I think as long as we're engaging the appropriate partners to address the issues, there's value.
Thanks, Craig. Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass, and thanks for the presentation today. Having been on the policing committee before, the only kind of difference I'm seeing kind of in the what we've seen here is really numbers. It's a bit of a smaller committee, if I'm correct. So other than that, it sounds like it's the same pretense as what we ran before, right? Yeah, coming full circle.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that Council give first reading to bylaw 4657-2026, the Municipal Policing Committee bylaw, and that Council give second reading to the previously mentioned bylaw, and that all council present give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 4657-2026, the Municipal Policing Committee bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that Council give third and final reading to bylaw 4657-2026, the Municipal Policing Committee bylaw.
Happy to give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it. Sports field maintenance policy, Darlene.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the sports field maintenance policy for adoption by Council. This policy was developed in response to previous concerns about field conditions and to address the gap between past documented policy and current operational practice. The report recommends that Council adopt the sports field maintenance policy to establish a clear and consistent framework for the classification, operation, inspection, maintenance, and seasonal management of town-owned and town-maintained sports fields. This policy is intended to formalize current operational practices, clarify service levels and responsibilities, improve transparency for user groups and the public, and support safe and sustainable field use. Administration advises that implementation will not require structural organizational changes and will align with maintenance expectations with available resources while supporting future budget planning. If approved, the policy will take effect immediately and guide field maintenance planning, inspections, communications, and ongoing administrative updates to the Appendix A as needed. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Darlene. Any questions from council? Councillor McGonigal?
In developing the policy, were the user groups of these sports fields consulted or met with or have any input?
Yes, this process began back in 2023, and at that time we consulted with user groups quite regularly through the whole process.
Thank you.
Councillor Cooey?
Thanks, Darlene, very much. Just a clarification in the phrasing of these bylaws, just to make sure, I just want to make sure we're not missing kind of one of the concerns. One of the concerns, I know at Bob Snodgrass, has been the fescue. And so I think the wording says, and again, I've probably answered my own question, turf is uniform in color, height, and density. I just want to make sure your interpretation and our interpretation of it, under the inspections, like, does it need to say fescue and clumping, or is that interpretation clear enough in the wording of these bylaws, this bylaw?
The fescue portion was put in there because that's something you can identify early on. If you catch it early, then we can avoid what happened at the BSRC Diamond.
Yep.
So the wording covers.
Okay, perfect. I missed that section, obviously. Okay.
Are you asking for fescue to be added, or are you?
No, I just want to make sure in the interpretation that that is one of the things that we are looking for under the description of it.
Before I answer that, just let me refer to the page really quick here.
Because I think at 20, the inspection shouldn't, it said turf uniform in color, height, and density.
Yes, so that is a standard term. So that would cover all the, so when we're looking at uniformity, is all the turf consistent? So to make sure, because if you've got the fescue clumping, then that's where you would have, it wouldn't be uniform. So that's how it's captured in there.
Okay, fantastic. It just, I know it was one of the big concerns with that diamond in particular, so I just want to make sure that we have captured that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darlene.
Councillor Barton?
Thanks, Mayor. I like what you put together. Looks good. Looks really good. I think the only thing that I'm hoping that, because I know you brought this as a kind of, as a result of our previous conversations, I just don't want us to hand tie parks to not, like, if they need to add something, she can add it, right? Without it having to be a policy change. I don't know if I'm understanding this correctly. Is this, I don't know, Jody, Craig, or Sonia? I don't know. Or what's your interpretation of it too? Like,
I feel the way we developed it, I don't think it hand ties us at any time. Where we did make a change, and I think Councillor Cooey mentioned this during Committee of the Whole, was not having the classifications tied to the policy, because those we can change at any time. That leaves administration the ability to change the classification. I think everything else is in line. Because as far as the maintenance goes, it sets what our standards are. And we've had these procedures in place since last year, so we've had a chance to try them out to make sure they work.
Okay, that's fair. I think where it came up is in a conversation that I had with a couple of councillors, as we were just talking about, excuse me, if there's something that we need to do, you know, once every 2 years or once every 4 years, that is kind of a long-term maintenance structure, whether it's like turning over the shale or having to rebuild a ball diamond or not the home plate, but the pitcher's mound or something like that. Just don't want it to impede you from doing that because it's not in the policy. And that was the only thing that I really came up with. So thanks for putting it together.
Certainly.
No further questions. Councillor McGonigal, if you'd like to give us the motion for this item.
Okay. I'll make the motion that council adopt the sports field maintenance policy as presented.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? See none. All in favor? Motion carries. Thanks, Darlene. Construction tender award for Crescent Ave. Hionji and Riley.
Good afternoon, the Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the construction award for two projects, Crescent Avenue Southeast Main Street Replacement and 9th Street Happy Trail Ramp Project. Administration posted a tender for both of the projects on March 26th, which closed on April 16th. We did receive 3 bids, ranging from approximately just under $2.3 million to $2.8 million. The most competitive bid came from Conoco Energy Services. The anticipated start date is early June. Substantial completion is end of September, and the top lift paving will be installed in the summer of 2028. Before you is a tender to award these two projects to Conoco Energy Services for just under $2.3 million, excluding GST and contingency. This amount includes...
Hionji, just because the sound system in here sucks so bad, I need you to speak like really close and really project your voice so that people can hear, because it's brutal in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like me to start over again? I'm happy to. Okay. Before you is the tender to award these two projects to Conoco Energy Services for just under $2.3 million, including GST and contingency. This amount includes $2,231,778.17 for Crescent Avenue project and $33,989.50 for Happy Trail Ramp project. The approved budget for Crescent Avenue project is $2.3 million funded through utilities reserves. The administration recommends that the council amend the budget to $2.7 million to account for the recent construction cost increase and contingency. For Happy Trail Ramp project, the approved budget is $50,000 funded through Canada Community Building Fund. The total project cost, including contingency, will be roughly under $43,000, which will be within the approved budget. Now I open up the floor for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Hionji. Questions from council? Councillor McGonigal?
One question that was raised to me was, when you're doing this project, how are you going to provide access to the residents to their homes?
So the administration is aware of the site conditions of the homes that do not have rail access. This will be the details of the access plan will be discussed with the contractor after it's awarded to find the best path forward. Also, we'll make sure that all affected residents are communicated to minimize the impact.
Not sure that answered my question. You're saying going to minimize the impact, but My understanding is that once you start digging, that those people will have trouble driving in and out to get to their homes. Like, people have got groceries, things that they have to bring in. They can't just walk in.
That is correct, Councillor McGonigal. What Hyunji was saying was that this will be dealt with the contractor at the startup meeting. Until we award it, we typically don't go through in that level of detail. So we'll want to know the contractor's plan. Where do they plan on starting the construction? What end? And then ask them in terms of what does access for these residents look like? We know it will be a challenge. That road will be completely dug up at one point. And for example, I think it was you that brought up last time, how do they get their groceries to their door? And so the contractor will have to give some sort of phasing schedule plan to us as part of this process.
So has that been included in their bid? I mean, this is not going to be this issue, is this going to create another charge?
Shouldn't. Unless we ask for something excessive or above and beyond what would normally be expected.
Okay. I still don't have a good picture of how they're going to get in and out of their houses, but the question's out there.
Any other questions? Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks. Since I brought the additional access to the berm and happy trails, there's a projected timeline of completion of these two projects, let's call it two, of September 30th. Is there any opportunity to expedite that access to happy trails? I mean, because then we're really almost looking at that access not being available until 2027. Yes, I know people use happy trails through the winter, but for a significant portion of the community that we were putting this access in for, some of them tend to stay more homebound through the winter months because it's cold and slippery and snow and things like that. So I guess I'm just trying to understand or promote that maybe we might be able to accelerate that so that there's some enjoyment for that access this year and not really looking to 2027 for that to be completed. Or not completed, but yeah, primary accessibility. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your question. So we discussed the schedule with the prime consultant. We'll be able to accelerate the Happy Trail project if it needs to be. And just please note that just like any other projects, we still have factors like weather, material, and labor, which could cause delay. But the details will be discussed with the contractor. I just don't want to speak for them yet. This will be discussed at the startup meeting. And for the Happy Trail, it's not going to be closed for the whole duration of the project. The portion, it needs to be closed just when we are working on the tie-in portion. So most of times, again, I don't want to give you any schedule details, but we're not anticipating that berm will be closed for the whole project duration.
Great, thanks. That's more information than I asked, so thanks for being prepared and everything that you provided. Appreciate it.
Just a question on Caneco. Obviously, they're an energy services company that's, I guess now, I've never heard of them before. They've never done work in High River or anything before. We've never awarded any work to them. So do they have municipal infrastructure experience, or is this a new world for them to be stepping into?
So for what the Canoco company, they have not worked with the town in the past, but a part of the submission includes their relevant experience. So they were able to provide 3 examples of municipal projects that are similar to this project. And their base is located, just for your background, their base is located in Fort Saskatchewan, and they have an office in Calgary. So we did receive 3 bids, and all of them are compliant, and all of them have relevant experience. So we are recommending the contract is awarded to the lowest bidder.
Okay. And Riley, can you speak a little bit because lots of our stuff are, when we award this stuff, it's through an RFP process versus a tender process. Can you speak to why a project like this is tendered and why we're kind of handcuffed to the lowest bidder? And because of course, as soon as people see this, that we're giving High River work to a company out of Fort Saskatchewan, people start asking questions why we can't keep it a little bit more local, but maybe you can help me.
So our larger projects are typically ran through a consultant engineer. Those consultants bring their own procurement process templates to the table in the form of a tender and tender document. So they have a package that they're familiar with and work with. So when we award these out, they follow their processes, which meet our requirements as well. In this case, it was a tender. Typically, large projects are tendered rather than RFP'd. And the way this was structured was basically lowest compliance bidder. So there is a number of checks that by 3 relevant projects. Conoco provided 3 relevant municipal projects that they had completed that were similar in nature, as well as having a compliant bid, all the math working, your WCB statement, a core certificate, bid bond, insurance, etc. In this case, all 3 bidders were compliant, and with that compliance, we go with the lowest bidder. The town does its own procurement a little bit differently when we run it internally, in that we will go through an RFP process. This is done very specifically to avoid certain requirements around contract law. So with contract law, it is a very formal process. Once a bidder has submitted something with a bond, their price is irrevocable, they are committed, and the town has certain obligations with regards to processing their application, evaluating, and awarding. It leaves us a little bit less flexible in terms of the process. The tender is a little bit less flexible. Typically, with the lower dollar value contracts that we run internally, we'll do an RFP that has language. So, for example, a bidder may revoke their price at any point in time. We saw that with the garbage RFP, where a bidder revoked their bid almost before a council meeting. And that is specifically to avoid creating what is referred to as Contract A, or basically an initial contract between us and the bidders where we have certain obligations. It gives us a little bit more flexibility. And in that process, we do our templates, and an RFP does qualify or evaluate a lot more beyond price. And you can put some of that wording into a tender. In this case, the tender did not. Again, it wasn't our template that we were using, and that's why we were going through this process, and that's how we ended up awarding to Conoco. Did that help, Mayor Snodgrass?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. No further questions. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey that Council award the contract to Conoco Energy Services in the amount of $2,265,767.67, excluding GST and contingency. And the Council amend the 2026 capital budget for Crescent Ave mains replacement to $2.7 million, including 10% contingency, but excluding GST.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Yonji. Thanks, Riley. Appreciate it. Aquatics expansion construction update. Kaylee.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So I'm here for your monthly update on the progress of construction. So right off the hop, we have our current activities, and I'm actually going to get some pictures pulled up because this will give you a real clear picture. We've got some tile in the main basin. Our hydrostatic test passed 100%, 0 leaks, so we're putting tile in there. You'll also notice this is our new front entrance steps, those big, beautiful, wide steps that walk us into our facilities. So just to the left of those steps will be where the new reception is, and you'll notice it's quite open there. These are our beautiful lockers in our locker room. We've been anticipating these coming in. We had some minor changes to it, but they are in and they are looking fantastic. And right along those big, beautiful windows on the west side, we've got tile happening on our bench along there. So that gives us a bunch of bench space along that full west wall. So the tiling is coming along beautifully. So you'll also notice within my report, I've got an update of change orders that have taken place since I was here last. And our change ordered dollar value is ranging just over $2.3 million. With regards to our change directives, change directive 1 is pretty much wrapped up. We just got some outside work that's very weather dependent. We really need it to stick on the warmer side, and we can get some asphalt, a light standard up, and get our temporary water well dealt with. We've got change directive 2, which is underway, and change directive 3 is pretty much wrapped up because that was the repairs to the new basin. We are pretty much back onto base schedule with getting it tiled and put together and built. We are still projected for that completion, that substantial completion, in August of 2026, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Kaylee. Any questions from council? A lot of work that's been done in the last few weeks, so appreciate it, and thanks for the update, Kaylee.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Nychuk. You thought you were gone, didn't
Sorry,
you?
didn't mean to just jump in. Just for clarification, and since these are publicly streamed and public attended, and you mentioned the nice, beautiful steps in the lobby, there is a wheelchair access there as well.
That is correct. There is a new ramp that's been built that is to today's standard, which has got a nice slope to it, and will have some railing. Yeah, you couldn't see it in that picture, but yeah, it's just off to the right there. You can see the wall. Just off to the right is where the ramp will be.
Are you still confident of the September opening date, barring unforeseen circumstances? Is there anything that you're worried about that, or you think we're going to meet that?
We are currently projecting for that August completion, and that still seems to be the case. Where we'd have one last outstanding item would be once all that tile is in the base of the pool, we'll get what's called our dance floor up, and we can get up into the ceiling. That's the one area we are going to see whether or not we've got some lead paint up in there, but we are fairly confident that we are still on par for that August date.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kaylee. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item, council, board, and committee reports, if there's any councillors that wish to share. Sorry, who just hit their button? I had to clear. Councillor Cooey.
Thanks very much, Mayor Saunders. Just a couple of updates. Exciting news for West Winds communities. The Diamond Valley Council passed a motion allowing West Winds to move forward with a provincial grant application for the replacement of High Country Lodge. So there'll be a beautiful new lodge coming to Diamond Valley. So that is really exciting and a great project for West Winds to look forward to. Shepherd Family Park lost a big tree this last week and a couple holes in the school roof and a broken window. Fortunately, the new roof hadn't been put on. So anyways, unfortunate to see that loss, but I know it's already temporarily patched and waiting for the new roof to come. Today? Yeah, I knew it was coming this week, so. Oh, yeah, no.
Sorry, not meaning to rain on that parade because the tree fell and caused additional damage.
Yes.
Insurance is now involved and assessing it from a structural perspective. So the roof work that was scheduled to start today has been postponed until we can confirm that there is no further structural damage and what the entire roof needs because of the tree that did come down. So sorry.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
But they are very small holes, so hopefully. It was a very big tree.
So is insurance paying for the roof?
That's what I wondered, actually.
So yes, we're just looking to determine whether the damages are significant enough to warrant an insurance claim. So we are right now playing with, it does look like it will be an insurance claim and then insurance would be covering it. So, but I can't say that for certain right yet. It's just from what I have learned so far.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Councillors? Councillor Nychuk?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Chief Debian spoke in committee of the whole already, so that's available on a recorded stream. But we had emergency advisory committee meeting this morning at the fire hall, and I guess I'll just touch on a couple of things. Sorry, I didn't. These are just scribbled notes from this morning, so no formally written presentation here. Steve talked on status and trends. In terms of where the river's at right now, I'm happy to report that everything is normal and, shall we say, low in comparison to our level of protection that the berms provide at this time. So everything is looking very positive there going into May and so far into June. So we'll keep the public advised through a weekly advisement on the website there. And a couple of people, one in particular brought up that the cadence of that might need to increase when we go into later into kind of the melt season and the rain season, and you can expect that the town would advise at a higher frequency level than that one time a week if there was something to come forward. So that was just good dialogue that happened at our committee of the whole meeting. I guess a shout out to Justin for comms and him putting that together and taking some of that dialogue away from that meeting this morning and from committee of the whole. Justin is with communications department. I think I said that. Flood preparation and risk mitigation for through water season and fire season through our forested areas and whatnot is well underhand. Again, Steve, Chief DBN, gave that update in the committee of the whole meeting. The floodgate was tested. No issues, running smoothly. So that piece of that protection is well operational. Emergency preparedness had an open house on the weekend, was reasonably well attended. That's just an opportunity for the public to come and ask questions or be educated on what the services and functions that are provided to keep safety and security in the community here. Our CMP, our staff sergeant, shared with us they had a active shooter tabletop, which means they were at Highwood High School and they worked through some scenarios in case something untoward ever happened like that in our community. And I feel very confident that through the RCMP to our protective services, our fire, EMS, all that stuff, that we've got a team that's as prepared and capable as anybody could be if that type of situation ever came about. So interesting to hear some of that. Also from the RCMP, there's the house that is north of the elevator project that some people noticed a lot of dark SUVs and police vehicles and a skid steer that took a section of the top of the house off last week. So that was all training. There wasn't anything untoward happening there. The owner of the property allowed protective services to be in there and do some training and some work. So Another update from the RCMP that we've been short-staffed, not in an untoward way, but not at full complement, and those are getting filled, and we should be flush in terms of our maximum capacity of serving officers by mid to late summer. Yeah, and that's my Coles notes from EAC this morning.
Thanks, Michael. Anyone else? See none? Meeting adjourned, 3:40 p.m.